Rogue F-35, nobody in the cockpit to ride. Rogue F-35, did it get hacked by AI? Rogue F-35, nobody in the cockpit to ride. Rogue F-35, did it get hacked by AI? Rogue F-35, nobody in the cockpit to ride.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. So, obviously, everybody is talking about the missing F-35, which we do have an update on, and we do have apparently a debris field that is still not confirmed as of the taping of this video. Again, we are live, so things may change by the end of this live stream. But there's a lot of really strange things right when I heard about this that came to my mind, as I cover news every single day, and we back that up and we archive it. And I'm so glad we do, because we were able to reach back and grab some of the very strange things regarding F-35s, regarding our military, regarding China, regarding parts that were obviously, made there. Very, very strange if you think about it. Even if we'll cover it here in a second, but even if it's a little thing, why would a single screw of our most advanced jets be made anywhere else rather than the U.S., or if at very least our allies? But who knows? Maybe our allies aren't really our allies. Some of them, who we thought were close, are now distancing themselves from us. So we'll go over all of that today, but first I want to bring you my co/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So if you were brought here, if you're new, if you're coming over from Twitter or somewhere else, welcome. Again, thank you to all of the mods hanging down in the chat. Thank you as well to everybody else. So the F-35 goes missing, and a lot of folks, the first response really has been humor. People are making memes. Babylon B is like putting out, fake articles, basically having a military guy with a key fob saying, here's the military going through the forest, pushing their key fob, beeping, trying to find their F-35. It's funny, but I don't really think that the people really are wrapping their heads around what just happened. So first of all, Dex, this is really crazy. This F-35 apparently ejected its pilot, and we don't know the full story, and they're going to tell you the full story, and a lot of people are just going to accept what exactly they say. First of all, the F-35 is one of the most advanced jets in the world, and it's flying along, and from what we first hear, this is what first came out, the raw alerts, the tweet, some of the stuff that first came out, it was like, okay, the F-35 is flying along, and this is what we first heard, that the jet is still flying, it's on autopilot, and that the pilot was ejected, right? So the pilot's out, the pilot's okay, the jet is keep going, and they literally, at first, asked the public for help. They're like, hey, can you help us find our F-35 jet? Now, a lot of people believe that this is kind of absurd. The White House, previous administrations, they've said, hey, we don't know where this $21 trillion is. We don't know where this $2 trillion is. We don't know where we don't know where this $6 billion came from. We don't know where it is. Actually, we lost it. But yet, you have this, now they're saying we don't know where this jet is. Of course, at the same time, the IRS, if you spend $601, they know exactly where that is. It's pretty absurd when you think about it, how advanced this jet is. And they say, oh, it's stealth. That's why they can't find it. Well, even if it has some sort of thing that makes it stealth, you would think, oh, it has a transponder. Well, the first words that broke were that somehow that the transponder was broke, or that the GPS coordinates were broke. Something does not sit right with me. We're going to go over some previous articles. They are actually introducing AI into these things, and a lot of folks are already coming up with the theory that it allowed the pilot. In fact, I believe it was Derek Bros on Twitter that put up a video and said that he believed that it was allowing the pilot to get out, like it was a mercy thing, like you can get up. And then, of course, all of the weird parts and the weird stories we've covered regarding this before. Now, there is a actual 2-day stand down. So first of all, just to go over the basics, it says that the U.S. military continued searching Monday for an F-35 fighter jet that disappeared over South Carolina on Sunday afternoon. Now, also, this is over the Carolinas. Oddly enough, we actually just covered a couple weeks ago a balloon story we'll talk about, or not even a balloon story, but a weapons story by China, a specific capability that they now are believed to have that can knock out our F-35s and our F-22s. So this is something that we just talked about a couple weeks ago, that it could stop an F-35 or EMP an F-35 in its tracks and basically make it incapable of flying. And now we have a pilot ejected, and they were trying to find a jet that was at 40,000 feet or whatever it was. Mind you, even if it wasn't flying on autopilot, say they were, fibbing to us, and this thing was flying at 40,000, it could have went, miles and miles and miles away from where it was, even if it was just coasting down. So I something about this just does not sit right. It says the pilot safely ejected from the aircraft and was hospitalized in stable condition, military officials said, but nobody knows what became of the jet. A military spokesman said the aircraft was on autopilot when the pilot ejected, so it could have remained in the air for an extended time. According to NBC News, however, military personnel had focused their search on 2 lakes north of North Charleston. So does this, again, they found a debris field. We'll talk about that here in a second. But this is in the order that we got it. Is this something where this thing is trained, if there is no pilot in it, to take itself down into a lake? Is there an AI factor to that? Like, why would they specifically look at lakes if they had no idea where it was? Did they have satellite photos of it? You would think something. Like, how easy is it to lose one of the most advanced jets ever? I'm already hearing people say, well, it's supposed to be, stealth for radar. Yes, but it's our gear. Are you saying that we can literally have somebody steal one of our jets off a base and it has something that would make it basically invisible to even us? I don't think so. I think that there's some sort of technology in there that allows us to track it. It says, quote, if you have any information that may help our recovery teams locate the F-35, please call the Base Defense Operations Center. Okay, do you realize how desperate they have to be to ask the public for help on this? Do you understand how desperate our military has to be? This is a top secret, classified, built jet that everything inside of it is our proprietary technology, and they're asking the public, like, hey, if it falls in your yard, can you give us a call? Dex, this is so freaking extreme, and there's no wonder why this is just like gigantic right now. I don't think people are even asking the right questions.
Well, yeah, certainly. There's so many questions to be asked. I mean, we should even be asking if it was really an F-35. This could have been any type of aircraft that went down that they didn't want us to know, and they're using the F-35 as an excuse. We have no clue, and right now they're only going to tell us what they want us to know. As far as AI goes, it wasn't that long ago that we reported, I want to say, look here at the date, back in June of this year, where they actually upgraded some F-35s with the AI flight systems out of F-22s. And I call them AI, they don't, but it is the flight system that can basically auto fly or auto combat, which is basically AI. Fly the plane for itself, not just autopilot, but like successfully fly better than a pilot in a combat mission and in a dogfight. So that software from the F-22 has been put into an F-35. And I'm certain that the capabilities of the F-35 already included AI technology and its own abilities to do a lot of advanced flying on its own. So there's a ton of questions we should be asking right now about this.
So it could possibly be that some of the most advanced AI we've ever seen in a jet. Like, the military they're not going to put the Costco AI in it, right? What if this thing literally kicked the pilot out? What if it was sentient? I know that sounds nuts, right? But this is the world that we're going into. These questions are going to be asked in the future. You have to realize that. When you put AI into something that can fly itself, you have to understand, if it's flying a jet that is that important, they're not putting like an AI that's like a Tesla, self-driving car. This thing it has to be smart. They've talked about how smart that this jet has to be because it's going to be replacing an actual pilot. It has to make human decisions in a split second. So they could be putting some sort of sentient thing in this damn thing. That is so freaky. Otherwise, there are multiple ways we could look at this. Now, just a couple, it was probably about a week ago, and we said, we even talked about this. As far as the article by L.J. Eads, Dex, I don't know if we got that one. Did you get the one about the EMP weapons that China has now produced and made?
Yeah, it's in here.
Let's see here. Which one is it? Yes. Okay, so it's in the same one. It says China has the capacity to build PLA. Is this it, or is it? No, this isn't it, right? I don't think I see it here. Or is it the, let's see here. There was, okay.
Yeah, it's the MEMS chips down at the bottom for F-22s and F-35s. Basically, any of the mechanical, micro electromechanical chips can be taken out by their EMP cannon. It's not a high altitude EMP, but it's an EMP weapon that can be used. I think it's called a compressor or something like that. I think of it more as like a cannon. It's like a directional fire type event. I don't know if it's showed up all the way in that article, but it should be in there about the MEMS chips.
Is it the China, the 200? Is that the one? The capacity to build 200 times the rate that the U.S. can?
No, it should be the EMP.
No, I don't even have that one. Okay, well, that's okay. So essentially, LGE, somebody who actually called into the show, is one of 3 intelligence analysts that has looked at this, and they're basically shouting the alarm on multiple things, like China having neurostrike capabilities, and then China having specified weapons that could literally fly on balloons. Remember, the Carolinas is also, North Carolina is where, this was over South Carolina, but North Carolina is where that balloon ended up going over, and, or was it South Carolina? Was it South Carolina? You would think south, north, south. But over the ocean, when that balloon came over and went over all of our bases. Now, people turned that into a joke. They then, said there's 50 UFOs and all of this stuff, but we never really got the truth on that. There might be a whole nother story. And I guess every line of kind of theory on this really goes back to a part of the story that could be a lie or could be truth. And it could put us like a Hardy Boys book where it's like choose your own adventure. But each one of these is not good as far as all of the options. Now, as far as what they were saying and what they were talking about in these new capabilities is they said that they could send a fleet of balloons over that have a specific weapon, this EMP MEMS chip thing, that could basically knock out F-35s and F-22s, some of our most advanced jet. Then within a week of hearing about this kind of stuff, now we have an F-35 that the pilot ejected. Maybe the pilot couldn't control it. What would you do if you were in a jet at 40,000, 60,000 feet and all of a sudden you can't control it? Would you go down with it, or would you get out, or would you stay in it? I would think most of the pilots would stay in it. And that's what doesn't make sense, is you would stay in it until you were very close. And if you stayed in until last minute, or if you were lower, then you would also be at the point where you could kind of guess where it landed, right? If you were down until it was lower, you wouldn't eject at 60,000 feet or whatever else. Again, that gives us the question, did it eject the pilot forcibly? Did it actually eject? Now, mind you, there was a story that went out, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this. I'm sure people are going to pick up on this, as far as the F-35s that waited delivery during halt over a Chinese alloy that had a magnet in the seat. Now, they said that there was some issue with this. We probably didn't get the full story on this, and they probably didn't want to advertise how much we truly have in our F-35s and in our other stuff that are parts and metals and alloys that are made in China. Now, when you think of something like this, you go, oh, it's a magnet or this or that. A magnet in military terms could be something so advanced that we can't even think of it as far as this stuff goes. And we've actually covered stories where recently there was a bunch of our military officials that got in trouble for sending stuff off to be made in China. And then, of course, the only reason we caught it is because basically somebody got busted by it. The thing got sent back to repair, and it got basically kind of sent back to China, and they realized that they had sent it back to the wrong place. So there's like a lot of these things where it's like, why the heck is this happening? Now, there was actually all U.S. Air Force F-35s are flying again. Remember this? They grounded all F-35s after the ejection seat checks. Specifically, this pilot was ejected out. And now we have an ejection seat failure. How are they going to spin this? Are they going to completely ignore this story? It says the U.S. Air Force's F-35 fighter fleet has resumed normal flying operations after checks of hundreds of ejection seat initiator cartridges discovered no problems. So, I believe it was the explosives that actually blast them out, right? Well, this guy was ejected. So you got to kind of put two and two together here. It's hard not to. On the other hand, if this isn't the issue, because they said that they checked every single one, they made sure that they're all good, they allowed them to fly again, which again, today they are doing a 2-day stand down for all jets. This is all along the same timing as Taiwan is loading up their beaches. There's literally forces being lined up against their beaches, and they just flew 103 aircraft, an all-time record, double what it was the day before, and what it's ever been. It's looking like they're about to take Taiwan. At the same time as this stuff is going down, we have a 2-day stand down for all jets. And they say so they can take 2 days to focus on safety and procedures. Something does not sit right. Dex, go ahead.
I was going to say, I've got 2 links for you in screener if you want to pull them up quickly. One is that EMP article, but we've already sort of talked about it. The other one is somebody named Brian D in chat had mentioned this, and I pulled it up. It is talking about one of the F-35's greatest vulnerabilities, and it's not that it can be seen, it's that it can actually be hacked because of the latest, having the latest and greatest technology. So that's another angle we have to consider, just like we've talked about EMP, targeted EMP technology, just like we've talked about AI possibly doing something wrong, or in this case, could it have actually been hacked via any of the technology that's built into this? Because this is a highly sophisticated airplane. It is the most sophisticated plane that's been built. So this is it's a rather older article, but it does highlight that fact that its vulnerabilities potentially are its technology.
And I pulled this up. It again, if once you hear this, it says that according to a report in the 2020 military report, states that China has a device called a high-powered magnetic pulse compressor that generates strong EMP pulses that can damage sensitive electronics. The device poses a considerable threat to intelligent military equipment, the report said. The photo of the device was published. It said that a weaponized EMP machine like the compressor could disable electronic equipment, neutralize defense systems, and cripple communications. China could also employ EMP attacks against Taiwan in the first stage of the military assault. It says the second Chinese military research report, also from 2020, reveals that Beijing destroyed micro-inertial sensors that are used in advanced weapons and civilian systems that employ micro-electromechanical systems, or MEMS. Tiny microchips that help power a large number of smart devices. A study showed that a pulse of 780 volts and a pulse of amplitude of 4.23 can burn the sensor and microchip components. It says this threshold indicates the sensor's vulnerability to electromagnetic pulse in warfare scenarios. They said the EMP weapon could destroy multiple systems on the Pentagon's F-35 and F-22 jets. The thing is we won't, and they would cover something like this up completely. If this was some sort of attack, this would be treated as very sensitive. But we're talking about, this is over the same area too that they found like these balloon systems. Now remember, they also actually talk about how they could actually use a fleet of these balloons, the balloons that went over. And again, we found out that there's some sort of factory or some sort of base that is allegedly mass producing these balloons that are hard to take down and may actually have the capability of having a weapon. So say what takes down these weapons? What takes these balloons down? F-35s. Well, what if you have a weapon that can literally disable an F-35? What then? If you have a weapon that can disable an F-35, you send tens of thousands of these balloons over. Some of them have these, some of them have other things, some of them have an actual high altitude hemp EMP weapon. You could literally knock down the grid. This is, I mean, it sounds so simple, right? Just float some balloons over. But if you have something like this, you have to look down that road of like, okay, well then, it's fine. We'll just knock them out of the sky. Well, apparently they didn't have a weapon to do that. They told us publicly that they are trying to make one that can knock something out of the sky at 60,000 feet that's not a missile that won't fall down and damage things, right? Well, if you got tens and thousands of these things that are cheap to make, they fly over with all sorts of different systems on them and different weapons, and you say that the first couple hundred have these EMP weapons, you would have sheer numbers of them overwhelm us. This is such a crazy even thought to think about, but this is something that people should be asking. Dex, go ahead.
Well, and the other thing we don't know yet, because we have yet to see it in the field, we've yet to see this EMP cannon or compressor, as they call it. But it could be something on a ship. It could be something on the ground. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the air, because this is a pointed device. This is something that they can target a specific plane, or they could target a wider area and like maybe take out an entire base with anything that's electronic or electromagnetic that would be susceptible to electromagnetic pulses. So this could be new technology. So these are all great questions we should be asking, and it's very suspect. And it is very much something that I wouldn't believe is the straight up story we're going to get out of the military, that a pilot decided to eject in the middle of flying a plane in autopilot mode. That was the original report. He ejected, it was in autopilot, so it was flying all by itself. Why on earth would that happen? Was he just being a screwball and decided to do it? They say something happened. They say there was a mishap, but that mishap, that word, could be any one of these things we're talking about here. Any one of these things could actually have caused what they're describing to us as a mishap, but are never going to tell us the actual truth. Let alone we won't even know, unless we have eyewitnesses that saw the plane go down, what kind of plane it actually was.
And it just to reiterate this part, which sounds absurd, that they don't have a backup transponder, they don't have more than one on one of. It's $80 million. $80 million. F-35s are usually equipped with transponders, but the device was broken on the plane that crashed. How do they know that? If they don't know where it is, how do they know that? The pilot said, oh yeah, the transponder was broken. It had a red blinking light that said transponder not working. Nobody knows where you are. Maybe that's why he ejected. Maybe the AI told him. Maybe the AI said, hey buddy, I'm gonna drop you off here. I'm gonna go out with my friends. I don't know. But this is absolutely absurd. And it's going to be a big story, and they're going to probably package something. And then I could see in a couple days somebody going back to this video with whatever story gets out and go, oh, this is fake info. They already showed us what happened. I'm not going to believe anything. I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt, and I am going to continue down the path of course, looking at the patterns. Look at what they are doing in the government, the white papers, everything the Pentagon has been saying. They're worried about not only EMP, but hacking, cyber events going on. And now they have the possible capability of knocking our F-35s out of the sky. That's one thing that makes us absolutely a beast of a military, is our F-35s and our stealth jets. So like, this is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And I think everybody should be asking this question. Everybody is making fun of it, and it's funny. Like, literally, they're missing their jet, pushing their key fob, right? People said that the EpiPen client list is in that pen. They're making jokes about it, and it is funny. But at the same time, people need to pay attention. This is what we've been saying for 5 years, and we've been going along the steps. We've covered all of these stories. These are all previous stories, and we can go back and archive, look at the path that it's taking, and see where it's going. That's why we've suggested to protect yourself. You guys go check out EMP Shield. This is why they've been an affiliate. Go protect yourself, because they're not going to protect you. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You can get yourself a device that will protect your cars, trucks, and all of your devices. This is why we have said this. And more, this is going to come really clear that this is one of the biggest threats to us. Cyber events, knocking down our infrastructure, our grid, and of course an EMP. You can protect yourself against this stuff. So again, it's not something you need until you need it. So go check it out. It helps support the channel. You get $50 off, and you're protecting yourself. Because again, nobody's going to come protect you for you. So this is absolutely wild. What is your opinion on this? Let us know in the comments down below. This is obviously going to change over time. They said that they are now looking, and they found a debris field in South Carolina after the F-35 stealth fighter jet disappearance. And it says a debris field was located by military officials amid their investigation of the F-35 that disappeared in South Carolina Sunday. Joint Base Charleston told Fox News Digital that the debris field was found in Williamsburg County, South Carolina. Officials did not confirm the debris was from the missing aircraft. A pilot ejected from the aircraft on Sunday afternoon after a mishap, and they're literally calling it a mishap. That's like Elon Musk calling the human pod on his ship blowing into smithereens a slight anomaly, right? This is huge. It says the jet was a Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II, one of the most advanced jets in the world, that belonged to Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort. And it said the pilot landed on the ground safely and was treated at a local medical center. So again, the transponder was broken. Now they found a debris field. We don't know what they're actually going to, what's going to be true about this, what's going to come out. This obviously makes the administration look bad. It makes the Marines look bad right now. And it makes us look bad in general. How do you lose a jet like this? I have no idea, unless it is some sort of attack. And who knows? Maybe they will straight up come out. And if it was an attack, and if they do come out and tell us it was some sort of hack, attack, AI, something, then that could be something that could lead to a war. Highly doubt that they will do that, though. Dex, go ahead.
Well, two questions we got to pay attention to. Why did the pilot eject? What was the reason? Did he not have control? Did he lose control? Did he think he was crashing? Did the system tell him something? What caused him to actually do that? That's probably going to get us closer to understanding what may have happened here. Will we ever know that truth? Probably not. And then the other thing to keep in mind is this is a huge moneymaker. This is like one of the biggest moneymakers for our military industrial complex. So, you can imagine what happened when Boeing had all their problems with what was the MAX plane, and all of a sudden they quit selling them because they had to stop selling them, because this is huge. If all of a sudden these F-35s are not, are randomly going to go crash and pilots don't have control over them, they're not going to be able to sell them. And it's not just selling them to the U.S. We sell these to all of our allies, especially those that are allowed to have them. Turkey not, but everyone else pretty much yes. And we're more than happy to sell them because it makes us tons and tons of money. If this is going to become a problem, this is a big black eye to the military industrial complex. So they're going to make sure that this comes out looking as pretty as they possibly can, and making sure that everyone knows, oh, it's not a big deal. Keep selling our planes, unless it continues to happen, which is why I think it's going to be difficult for us to ever know the truth on this one.
Yeah, dude, there's so much at stake right now with this. And to think that there might be such a huge vulnerability in our F-35s and a huge part of our defensive structure, that's giant. And besides all of this, over the last 2 weeks, we have watched, about 5-6 days ago, there is news that China is loading troops, thousands and thousands of troops, all along their coastline. You have, of course, and then that was coming from Taiwan. So who knows? They could be wrong about that, right? But I guess where's the MO, and you have to find out. And then as far as everything else, it's like China is setting up. It's like they're moving gear. They're producing like no other. This piece, again, we talked about the other day. They can produce. This is what was so crazy. They can literally produce. Has the capacity to build ships at 200 times the rate that the U.S. can. It's no wonder that overnight we were they became the largest navy out of nowhere. It was a few years ago, and I remember covering it, and everybody was sitting there like, what? The China has the largest navy, and I said the same thing, and I don't think there's anything publicly about this yet, that they are building the largest air force. Now imagine if they can also build some sort of balloon fleet that would go ahead, and they don't care if they get taken down. Those things knock out our F-35s, and then their carbon copies of ours go in and take their place. Like, this is nuts. This is absolutely nuts. So there's so much more that's going to tie into this. We might update this as it goes on. But again, Dex, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely. Great job, brother.
All right, you guys, and make sure to share this out with friends and family. The main message I would say is please have yourself a backup plan just in case, even if it's a 0.1% chance that something may go awry. If you're feeling like there's something big coming, then use that feeling and be responsible. Have some backup plans. Have a backup plan to meet your family if something goes down. Have food, have water, have, again, extra stuff around. And again, also know that you may have a meetup point with your friends and family. Always have a backup meetup point, and have even a third if you can, and actually do it with your family. All right, you guys, have a great night. Love you guys. We'll see you on the show later. Again, sister channel, Marfoogle TV. We will see you in a bit. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. Dex, thank you.
Rogue F-35, did it get hacked by AI? Rogue F-35, nobody in the cockpit to ride. Rogue F-35, did it get hacked by AI? Rogue F-35, nobody in the cockpit to ride. Rogue F-35, did it get hacked by AI? Wow.